Good afternoon, y'all. Just want to say thank you again for joining us this afternoon. It's always a pleasure to see y'all in person and not in the little boxes on Zoom and put faces to names. So, again, thank you guys for joining us. It's great to see you here. So, we're going to kick things off talking about GovHub and its journey from just being a product to more of an ecosystem. So what we're going to talk about today is GovHub's next chapter. As Julie mentioned, we learned a lot from you all last year, and it has definitely informed a lot of what we plan to do with GovHub. And we're also going to talk about those features that she hinted on and left you in suspense about. We're going to talk about those. Some you may have already noticed in the platform, and some that are planning to be released early next month, actually. We also want to talk about strengthening the community of GovHub. So we have advisory committee meetings and things like that, but what we learned is that that's still kind of a siloed environment. If you're not able to participate, you're not able to inform the product that you use. So we want to strengthen that community aspect of GovHub as well. And we just want to talk about briefly what's next, what we've learned and what's next with that. So, GovHub's next chapter. Well, one, I want to start by mentioning that GovHub continues to grow not just as a product, but as a foundation for how Georgia teams can create, manage, and improve digital experiences across government. That progress has reflected in the newest sites that we've added to the platform recently, in the last year, actually, since we met. That includes one from the governor's office, Top State for Talent, and another from the Department of Community Health with the Great Health website. So if you guys have representatives in here today, but just clap for these two. Clap for these two additions, these two new additions to GovHub. These additions really reinforce that the platform remains a trusted solution for state teams that need modern and manageable websites. So as Julie demonstrated, we've learned a great deal about what our users need most, not just from the platform itself, but from the people who manage it and maintain these sites every day. So today's conversation is really about two things: what we've learned from recent discovery phase of GovHub and how those lessons are shaping not just the roadmap, but the ecosystem that we are striving to build. So one of our biggest lessons in building GovHub has been that the roadmap is strongest when it is shaped by the people who closely work with the tool. So our philosophy has always been, we don't want to just build based only on internal assumptions, or as I would like to refer as vibes. We want to also think about what or hear what our agency partners may need. So we use research to understand where the friction exists today, where people are duplicating effort, where information was too hard to find, where collaboration broke down, and where there was a gap between intent and actual user experience. That research helped us move from a feature first mindset to a problem first mindset. So instead of asking, what should we build next? We started asking, what problem is most important to solve next and for whom? So the advisory committee, like I mentioned before, played a critical role in pressure testing that thinking. They helped validate what we were hearing, challenging our blind spots, and bring a perspective that we wouldn't have gotten from one team or one agency alone. In practice, that meant our roadmap became more grounded in real world operational needs and not just good ideas. It helped us prioritize the work that would improve usability, trust, and long term adoption. That committee also helped us think beyond launch. They pushed us to consider sustainability and governance, cross agency value, and what it would take for GovHub to become part of how people work, and not just another tool for them to tinker around with. We wanted to embed it into your workflows, just like everything else that you do. So just as importantly, the research in the committee helped us not only understand what users need, but what concerns they have. What would make them adopt faster I mean by new features or just onboarding to the platform in general. And what signals would build confidence? AI team talked about good signals earlier. So today, what I want to talk about is what's to come. And I don't see that as a static list of features. I see it as a result of ongoing listening, testing, and refinement. And I want to give a quick shout out to our advisory committee members. I don't have all the logos up here, but I will go down the list here. So the Department of Banking and Finance, Department of Community Health, the Department of Driver Services, Department of Labor, Department of Revenue, Department of Public Health, the Georgia Non-Public Post-Secondary Education Commission, the Georgia State Patrol, the Healthcare Workforce, State Accounting Office, and of course, the Georgia Technology Authority. So thank you guys. Give yourselves a hand too for that, for being a part of the advisory committee. And if you would like to be a part of the advisory committee, please scan this barcode down here in the corner. It's going to take you to the digital, the DCOE Center of, I want to say community, Digital Center of Excellence webpage where you fill out a form and select the advisory committee, the GovHub advisory committee from that form. So I'll give you a second if you want to grab that QR code. Alrighty, so let's get into it. I won't leave you in suspense any longer. Latest features that we've added to GovHub. So one that we've already talked about today is the editorially accessibility checker. So this is a built-in checker for GovHub that gives content editors in-page alerts so that they can catch and fix common accessibility issues as they work. So it's not an extra click. It is automatically checking as you fill out the WYSIWYG. It was added back in January. And it gives live feedback, checks that are rendered on the content previews of published pages, uses plain language guidance, and supports site-wide issue reporting and dismissals. So the benefits that we've gleaned from implementing this feature is that editors can catch their issues sooner and in real time when they're working in the WYSIWYG, instead of waiting on a later crawl or audit of the site to review, which should reduce any of the rework. The guidance is designed to both correct and teach, which we love. Site Improve also uses that model. So it helps editors build stronger accessibility habits over time. And because it checks rendered pages and previews, it can flag the problems that are easy to miss when looking only at the raw edited field. For teams managing a lot of content, reporting and dismissals make follow-up more manageable as well. So I hope you all have had fun playing around with that, preparing for that deadline that got pushed back another year. So you have a little bit more time. All right, so here is another really exciting feature that we are adding to the GovHub platform. So this is the important date content type. We're getting a new content type, guys. It's been a while since we've created GovHub and we haven't added any new content types. We're getting a new one. So this one was actually kind of hiding out in the code for a while. We just had not flushed out the content model for it. So we decided to bring it back because we noticed that the event content type wasn't quite doing the job. And a lot of people don't actually have events. So you guys were using that content type to just make your visitors aware of an important date. And that was problematic for a few reasons, but mainly if the event wasn't something that you could actually attend, whether it be virtually or in person, and you were just treating it as a way to display a date, Google didn't really like that much. And so it wasn't indexing those things properly. And so we thought, like, let's bring back the important data. We met with the advisory committee about it, and they gave us a lot of insight about how that content might actually be helpful for them. So this is a structured content site for publishing things like enrollment deadlines, milestones, meeting dates, reminders, and other time-sensitive information in a consistent way across your website. So rather than it being kind of buried in the content somewhere and displayed in all kind of different ways, this is a nice, structured, consistent way to display that information across your pages. So the benefit that editors get with this feature is that it gives editors a dedicated place for date-driven content instead of, like I mentioned, burying those key dates in the body of copy or improperly using the event content type for dates that have no way to attend an actual event. So this makes updates simpler and more reliable when a deadline or milestone changes. So this is a content type like any other, and you're able to schedule when this important date should be unpublished. So once the deadline passes, schedule for it to be unpublished, it goes away. So it's something that you can set and not have to think about again. It creates a more consistent presentation, like I mentioned before, and it reduces the one-off formatting decisions and keeps editors working inside a clear content model. So we're really excited about this. You should be seeing this within the next few weeks. We're hoping to launch this at the beginning of July. And then the other feature that is also coming very soon, beginning of July at the very latest, are updates to our document management system. So we have made an upgrade. I like to call it an upgrade because this is just adding even more flexibility and features for our document content type or media type. The current document management workflow, it's an upgrade to that workflow that makes it easier for you to upload, organize, find, replace, and maintain files across your site. So GovHub's current document library already lets editors add metadata and embed the links and stuff into your content. It also allows you to search the library, view, and now we have this usage tab for documents. Now you can view where that document is being used. You can take bulk actions and things like that. So this upgrade is really positioned to make documents even better because it's going to be treated as more of a first class content along with like topic pages and things like that. So now you're going to get that ability to schedule documents. Something that Julie mentioned, we got feedback from during our listening tour is that we have some folks who have to stay up until midnight and manually swap out documents, and that's just no good. We are sending people kind of into space and back for like 5 minutes. We can schedule documents, okay? So the benefits that creators, content editors get with this are that, like I mentioned, you're able to schedule the document entity and removing that need to manually swap out the file on the document entity. Now you're totally replacing all of that. Like I mentioned, this creates a one-on-one relationship with the document and the content that it's attached to. So this promotes the flexibility and the revision history with managing documents as well. So that feature becomes more useful. That's already there. And this supports like a cleaner governance with metadata, usage visibility, bulk actions, and safer cleanup through trash instead of like hard deletion and purging and things like that. So these are really exciting updates that are coming to GovHub really soon. But this isn't all, guys, and I'll get to that a little later. So one clear signal from both the research that we conducted and the advisory committee conversations that we had is that GovHub cannot succeed as a product alone. It has to grow as a community. A product can provide the infrastructure, but the community is what creates the momentum, the trust, the shared practice, and long-term value. So as we think about the next phase of GovHub, a key priority is moving from simply providing access to actively cultivating participation. That means creating more opportunities for people to learn from one another, not just from us. It means helping users see that they are a part of a broader ecosystem of public servants, partners, and civic practitioners facing similar challenges and working towards similar goals. So this is AI generated versions of all of you guys. Just so you know, or they're like your new employees, you just don't know yet. Community building also helps solve a practical problem. It shortens the distance between a good idea and broader adoption. When people can see how peers are using something successfully, they are much more likely to engage themselves. So we witnessed this in real time during recruitment of our advisory committee. One member asked that we instruct all members to change their name on the committee Zoom meetings to include their agency acronym so that they could have a better context of who was saying what and why. That small request says a lot. People want context, connection, and better understanding of who is in the room. And as Robert Redford would agree, Robert Redford, not Zach Galifianakis, as we had this debate earlier, for GovHub, this could work more like in international, like more an international peer exchange, more visible examples of use in practice, more feedback loops. No, not intentional peer exchange, more feedback loops, and more ways for users to contribute to the platform's direction. It also means recognizing that engagement is not one size fits all. Some people want to share ideas publicly. Some others want to just send us feedback in small working groups. And, just different examples of ways that they can adapt or opportunities to connect around a specific challenge. So the vision is not just a bigger audience, it's more of a connected audience and more useful network around GovHub. Community building is how we move from transaction to relationship. And instead of the users coming to GovHub only when they need something, they begin to see themselves, they begin to see it as a place where they can return, contribute, and stay connected to the work happening across the state. So one of the most promising ways to deepen that community, and this is a gift from the show community, is through a civic roundtable model. So the idea behind utilizing civic roundtable is simple: create a reoccurring place where content creators, agency partners, and accessibility champions can come together around shared challenges and opportunities, with GovHub serving both as a conveyor and a platform that supports that connection. So we've seen the value that is provided through the accessibility compliance group, like Mary and Erica and Hadi mentioned earlier. So we want to continue and expand on that model with the GovHub community. This is valuable because many of the issues we are trying to solve are not isolated in one agency. They are shared across agencies, teams, and communities. Civic Roundtable creates a structure for those conversations to happen in a more intentional and productive way. It gives us a place to surface emerging needs earlier, test ideas before they become roadmap commitments, and hear directly from the people experiencing the work on the ground. It also reinforces that GovHub is not just something being delivered to people, it is something being shaped with them. It's foolproof. So I see the Civic Roundtable as I like gifts in my presentations. They make the slide deck alone makes absolutely no sense without my words. I see the Civic Roundtable as a bridge between product strategy and civic practice. It connects what we are building with the realities of implementation, collaboration, and public impact. Done well, it could serve several purposes at once: a feedback mechanism, a relationship building tool, a knowledge sharing forum, and early signal for where GovHub can provide the most value next. It also helps broaden ownership. When people are invited to the conversation in a meaningful way, they're more likely to see themselves as co-creators of the future, not just end users. So speaking of which, we will be offering an in-person digital academy class soon, and it'll help you all with creating content for the web that is accessible and readable for both the constituents and the generative AI. And that's something that Will and Aaron mentioned earlier. So what's next, guys? What's next? So this version was about improving the content editing experience. A major focus of this version of GovHub was making workflows better for the people who manage the content every day. That means improving the content editing experience so that editors can work more efficiently with less friction and more confidence. In many ways, this phase was about strengthening the foundation, making sure that the platform is not just functional for publishing, but practical and intuitive for the teams responsible for keeping content accurate and up to date. That work matters because content editors are the most important users of the GovHub ecosystem. When their experience improves, content quality improves, publishing becomes faster, and the public benefits from more timely and reliable information. So, this version is not only about adding capability, it was about making the core experience better for the people doing the day to day work. So, we learned that the people are also not taking full advantage of all of the things on GovHub. And that is where the community building really comes into play and has become a bigger part of our strategy. This is not simply a product issue, it's an enablement issue. And in some cases, people may know how to complete the basics, but are less aware of more of the flexible or advanced ways the platform can support their work. This means the next phase has to include more intentional training, not just onboarding once and assuming that's enough. We want to build in more refresher training so the user can revisit features, learn what has changed, and gain confidence in areas they may not be using today. We also see strong value in more in-person training, especially for concepts that are more abstract or strategy oriented. So a good example, like Julie mentioned, was the web forms. Many users understand that the forms collect data in a basic sense, but may not fully see the wide range of ways that web forms can support service delivery, intake, feedback collection, workflows even, and user engagement. So in-person sessions can help make these possibilities more concrete. They create room for examples, questions, problem solving, and stronger understanding of how features can be applied in real world scenarios. So part of the future is not just building more, it's also helping users understand what already exists and take advantage of it more fully and effectively. The community building part is going to be key in that. And the future is about giving content editors more design control and less reliance on third-party tools. So I know that design control perked some of you up. And we want to offer that. You know, we have to have the guardrails for accessibility and brand continuity, and we want to make sure all the sites look alike, but we can give you a little bit more flexibility in how those home pages are designed. So looking ahead, one of the clearest opportunities is to give you all more control of how you're presenting the content without forcing you to depend on third-party tools like displaying graphical data and things of that nature, and have to rely on workarounds. So we have heard a consistent need for greater flexibility around the layout, presentation, and page design. And we heard you, and we are listening, especially for teams that want to create content that is both informative and engaging. The future vision is to bring more of that capability into GovHub itself so that editors can do more within the platform and feel less dependent on third-party products to get that to achieve their goal. That is important for a few reasons. It creates more seamless workflows, reduces complexity, supports consistency across sites, and helps teams stay inside a more accessible and governed system. So ultimately, the goal is not to turn every content editor into a designer, but the goal is to give them better tools so they can create stronger, more engaging pages with confidence and with less overhead. So in closing, when we talk about the future of GovHub, the vision is not simply to add more features. It is to build a platform that is informed by research, shaped by trusted advisors, strengthened by community, and supported by better enablement for the people using it every day. This phase helped us improve the content editing experience. The next phase is about expanding what editors can do, deepening the community around the platform, and making sure users have the training and support needed to unlock the full value of GovHub. That is the direction we're heading. And that is the kind of digital platform ecosystem we want GovHub to represent for Georgia. And I'm gonna leave you a little bit more suspense. When you come back, we're gonna do this again in September, and there'll be even more features for me to talk about, some that are brand spanking new. For the most part, these were building and expanding on existing functionality, but what we'll talk about in September when you come back again, hopefully, is brand spanking new features in GovHub. So with that, I will close it out. If you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, scan that barcode. But also, you can connect with our entire team by following this link here. And we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.